Hey guys, welcome back to Ethony's hashtag 31 days of tarot. Today is day 18 and the question is, what cards relate to me personally, not just based on my astrological associations or court cards, etc. What I thought I would do is to focus on where I feel I am at the moment, and I've picked minors because I get where this question's going. A lot of the time people will choose the court cards or even the majors, so I've gone for something a little different than usual, and I've simply picked an aspect of myself I would see in light and as a beneficial part of my personality, and then I've picked something that I feel is more part of my shadow and something that generally doesn't aid me but is something that I still relate to and is a process that I go through. I'm using the wild unknown because the imagery works very well for this particular question as well. The first card we'll go for is the shadow aspect that I can relate to personally, and so here we've got the Nine of Swords, and I think that what this reminds me is that whilst I feel that I often have the ability to have really good insight, there's still trauma within shadow. There's still the tendency for maybe, if I'm not being a realist, then I'm not an optimist, definitely. Realist to potentially being quite sceptical at points, and rather than being someone who's more led into these moments of difficulty emotionally first, it's definitely more of a thought process for me, getting tangled into greater fears, greater anxieties, worries, the worst case scenario, that part of my personality that says prepare for the worst and this will help you if the worst happens, which we know is bullshit, right? When does that ever fucking work? But it doesn't matter if it doesn't work, because that's part of working through our shadow. That's part of being a human. You know, we have aspects in which are difficult and sometimes not useful for us, but they were developed from, at one point, a defense mechanism. And I think if I think of the ones that I slip into maybe the easiest, that feel the most comfortable, then it is definitely this sort of nightmarish mind, you know, turmoil card that the Nine of Swords represents. So that's definitely one aspect that I relate to personally. And the other aspect, something which I feel is much more beneficial for me, is this beautiful Six of Wands. And again, as I say, I've chosen this deck because visually it really does represent exactly the connection that I feel to these cards. I feel that there's this relentless pursuit to heal, this kind of rising above, adapting, changing, evolving, and in a very passionate capacity. And so whilst emotionally some of these challenges will feel incredibly heavy and dark, there's always still this, you know, with passionate sadness, sometimes there comes passionate happiness, and there's always this really strong desire to keep on reaching and keep on fighting and achieving and experiencing success when maybe it feels unlikely or whatever the case may be. And it's definitely almost the flip side of the shadow. It's like this capacity to pull yourself up and be your own kind of, I guess, your own rock or your own form of inspiration at times when it's needed the most. So that is something that I relate to as well. I know it's a butterfly, but it does give me a kind of phoenix rising sort of vibe as well. So short and sweet from me, and hopefully that makes sense. and I will look forward to hearing about yours and the card you pick, and I'll see you again tomorrow.